Introduction. A language is a system of words and symbols used in a defined way. In order to communicate with computers also, a language is required which, when used in a defined way, is able to give instructions to the computer. These languages allow computers to quickly and efficiently process complex and large amounts of information. For example, if a person is given a list of random numbers ranging from 1 to 10,000 and is asked to place them in ascending order, chances are that it will take a good amount of time and will also include some errors. Different types of computer languages. Just as humans use language to communicate and different regions have different languages, computers also have their own languages that are specific to them. Different kinds of languages have been developed to perform different types of tasks on the computer. Basically, languages can be divided into 4 categories according to how the computer understands them. Computer languages: low-level language, machine language; middle-level language, assembly language; high-level language, 4th generation language. Cool fact: the first computer programmer was a woman named Ada Lovelace. Low-level language, machine language. Also known as binary language, a low-level language consists of strings of zeros and ones. It is directly understood by the machine, computer, and needs no translation at all. The zeros and ones are actually codes which are converted into electrical signals. The off state of electrical signal is identified by 0 and the on state is identified by 1. Advantages of low-level language. Since no translation is required, it executes much faster. There is no need of any compiler or interpreter to translate the source to machine code. This cuts down the compilation and interpretation time. It can directly communicate with hardware devices. Disadvantages of low-level language. It is a machine-dependent language and is different for different CPUs. Programs made on one CPU can't be executed on another. It is difficult to develop, debug, and maintain. Low-level programs are more error-prone. The programmer must have additional knowledge of the computer architecture of that particular machine for programming in a low-level language. Middle-level language, assembly language. The next leap in programming languages was assembly language, which used a combination of English letters, mnemonics as a substitute to machine code. A special program called assembler was required to translate assembly language into machine language so that the computer could understand it. Cool fact: programs written in assembly language are the source code. Programs converted into machine language are the object code. Advantages of middle-level language. Programs written in machine language are replaceable by mnemonics, which are easier to remember. Faster execution and efficient programming. Programming is relatively easier due to use of mnemonics and saves lot of time and effort. Debugging is also easier in this language than in machine language. Disadvantages of middle-level language. Long programs written in such languages cannot be executed on small-sized computers. It takes a lot of time to code or write the program, as it is more complex in nature. The syntax is difficult to remember. Like machine language, assembly language is also machine-dependent. A program written for one computer might not run in other computers with different hardware configurations. High-level languages. Third-generation languages or 3GLs. High-level computer languages use formats that are similar to English and are machine-independent. The purpose of developing high-level languages was to enable people to write programs easily in their own native language environment, English. High-level languages are symbolic languages that use English words and or mathematical symbols rather than mnemonic codes. Each instruction in the high-level language is translated into many machine language instructions that the computer can understand. Advantages of high-level language. They are user-friendly. They are similar to English and use the English vocabulary and well-known symbols. They are easy to learn, understand, and debug. They are problem-oriented rather than machine-based. Disadvantages of high-level language. A high-level language has to be translated into machine language by a translator, which takes time. The object code generated by a translator might be inefficient compared to an equivalent assembly language program. Types of high-level languages. High-level programming languages can be categorized into the following types. Procedure-oriented languages. In this language, a program is written as a sequence of procedures. Each procedure contains a series of instructions for performing a specific task. In this type of programming style, a code once written in the form of a procedure can be used any number of times in the program by only specifying the corresponding procedure name. Examples of procedure-oriented languages are Fortran, Algol, C, Basic, and ADA. Logic-oriented languages. These languages use logic programming methods for solving various problems. In this programming language, predicate logic is used to describe the nature of a problem by defining the relationship between rules and facts. Prolog is an example of a logic-oriented programming language. Object-oriented languages. These languages use the object-oriented programming method as the design approach for solving a given problem. In this programming language, a program is divided into a number of objects which can interact by passing messages to each other. C++ and C# are the examples of object-oriented programming languages. Fourth generation language, 4GL. Till date, the languages developed were all procedural in nature. That is, all steps in solving a problem were supposed to be written in the programs. However, 4GLs are mainly non-procedural languages which use English-like syntax to design the instructions. Their main use is in the areas of artificial intelligence and databases. Some examples of fourth generation languages are SQL and Lisp. Advantages of 4GL. They are much easier to use than other high-level languages. The programming effort is greatly reduced as 4GLs are very close to the English language. Even non-programmers can use them easily. Disadvantages of 4GL. Programs developed in 4GLs are executed at a slower speed by the CPU. Programs developed in these programming languages need more space in the memory of the computer system. Language processors. A translator system software that is used to translate a program written in high-level language to machine code is called a language processor. Types of language processors. Compiler. The whole source code or program is converted into object code in one go and errors are listed out together. Once the program is error-free, the process of compilation, translation of high-level program into object code is repeated. An object code is generated as well as stored. This leads to faster execution as the stored object code is used whenever execution is required for the program. Interpreter. It converts programs into machine language line by line. A line is translated and if error-free, it is executed. Otherwise, the conversion stops and the interpreter waits for the error to be corrected. The object code is generated on the fly and is not stored anywhere. Hence, interpreted third-generation languages are relatively slow because they are translated whenever there is a need of execution.